Everybody, I will call to order the February 4th, 2026 Planning Board meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Mr. Rugg, do we have a full set of members here?
We've got a full house tonight, 9 voting members present.
Fantastic, and I know Ryan will be here shortly. We'll start with our approval of minutes. Mr. Rugg, do we have any minutes you would like to see approved, sir?
We have minutes of the 7th of January and 14th of January, so I also move that we adopt the minutes of January 7th.
I have a motion.
26.
I have a motion from Mr. Rugg. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Jeff. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Giovanni Verani, abstain.
John Cruz, aye.
Tony D. I.
Arthur Rugg abstains.
Jeff Penta, aye.
John Farrell, I.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. All right, Mr. Rugg.
I will make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we adopt the minutes of January 14th, 2026 as presented.
I have a motion from Mr. Rugg. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Cruz. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Giovanni Verani, abstain.
John Cruz, aye.
Tony D. I.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Jeff Penta, aye.
Farrell, I.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. All right, Kelly, regional impact determinations.
None this evening.
Fantastic. Any discussions with town staff?
All set.
All set? Wonderful. All right, we're going to get into it. I am going to go down to other business first. I'd like to do the master plan overview before we get into our new plans. If folks want to come on up. How are you? Nice to see you again.
Doing fine, thank you. Nice to see you too.
How are you?
Hi,
Nice
good
to see you.
evening.
Uh-oh.
Let me know if you-
The slides are getting
yeah.
away from me.
Let me know if you want me to do it.
What? We're going down.
Oh, boy.
Sorry, guys. Oh, my gosh, look at this. You're getting a preview of
Stop
what's to
touching
come.
things.
There we go. All right. Thank you, everyone. Very pleased. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to the Planning Board, and to everyone who's joined us tonight. Really appreciate you moving us up on the agenda, and we promise to be very mindful of your time this evening. My name is Suzanne Nienaber. I'm a principal planner with the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission. I'm joined tonight by my colleague, Cameron.
Hi. Good evening, everybody. Cameron Perlman, Senior Planner with the Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission.
And this is a really exciting moment because we've reached an important milestone. There is a draft of Londonderry's master plan update that has been posted for circulation. And we thought tonight would be a great opportunity to conduct a briefing with the board. We've also encouraged members of the public to attend tonight and or watch the proceedings online so that everyone can get some awareness about where we are with this plan and hopefully continue to weigh in. So I will give you a quick overview of what we'd like to cover in the next 15 minutes or so. We'll give a project overview. We'll talk about some engagement highlights because community engagement was a really important and impactful piece of this work. We'll give a very high-level glimpse into some of the content of the plan and then talk about next steps and allow time for discussion. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Cam.
Thank you. Okay. So, excuse me. What is a master plan? I know many of you know this, and many in the audience know this, but for those who don't, and for those who are watching at home, a master plan is the town's primary long-range planning document. It is adopted by the planning board under RSA 674:2. It establishes a policy direction for topics like land use and housing and transportation and others. It provides a policy basis for future zoning amendments, capital improvement planning, and other regulatory actions, and it is used by the planning board and other boards to promote consistent and coordinated decision-making. So now that that's behind us, I want to just thank and acknowledge steering committee members who worked diligently for a long time on this master plan. This master plan update began in the fall of 2024. It was kind of split up into these two parts. The first part, beginning with a survey, covered the town's vision, demographics, regional considerations, land use, and housing. And we have just kind of wrapped up this part 2 with another survey and some workshops where we covered natural resources, transportation, economic development, and historical and cultural resources. I'm going to do briefly just an overview of the community engagement that was done as a part of this process. So we worked closely with town staff and the steering committee on many different types of community outreach. We were at local events, Old Home Days. Top right is the very wonderful Suzanne Nienaber sitting next to me at the Londonderry Senior Center, helping Londonderry seniors take the master plan survey. The word was spread far and wide by steering committee members, local news outlets. So it was important to the committee. It's important to us that community input is central to the master plan and ultimately informs the document that's posted on your website now. We had a total of, or we had over 2,000 surveys completed. That may not seem like a lot, but it's a very good basis for capturing kind of the thoughts and vision for the town. It's very high for a town in our region. I don't think we've seen numbers this high in ever, really.
What do you, what do you usually see from a survey standpoint? What do you consider, kind of your high water mark
Percentage-wise.
outside of this? Is it 100 is it 100 surveys? Is it 300 surveys?
It's usually in the hundreds. A bigger municipality like Manchester will see more, of course, but for Londonderry size, we consider this to be a very good survey sample.
Excellent sample size.
Yep.
Thank you.
In addition to the surveys, we wanted more input, and so we held 2 workshops. One of them was a future land use mapping workshop. There's some pictures up here on the screen. We had a really great turnout where we did a group mapping activity and looking at various land uses, and we used this to really inform the future land use map. The other workshop that we did was really workshopping strategies where we use the surveys, we use the discussions that we had with the steering committee to develop these kind of draft strategy ideas and workshop them with a good group of people. And so I think with that, of course we had a lot of steering committee meetings. They were pretty well attended. They were certainly well attended by the steering committee members. Again, I want to acknowledge them for all the hard work that they did. And it truly represented a good amount of various decision makers, committee members, in other boards and committees in town too. So, I think with that, I'll pass it on to Suzanne.
Oh, sorry, there's one more slide.
There's
for
one
you.
more, yeah. As well as the steering committee, town staff were crucial in this, developing this master plan. I know there was input from Londonderry Planning Board members, so thank you all as well. And then to the many volunteers who put their time and effort into this, who may not be listed here, folks at the library, folks at the senior center, the folks who organize Old Home Days, just want to give a special thank you to those folks as well.
All right. Thank you, Cam. So now I'm going to give you a big picture overview of the content highlights. I will say the master plan itself is 100 pages in length. If you look at the appendices that meticulously captures all of the public input we received, that's well over 200 pages. And I want to be mindful of folks' time. So basically tonight, I want to give you kind of a pathway to understand the master plan, and I hope everyone has a chance to download that and give that a closer look at the draft. So here we go. So first I want to talk about the key inputs. How was this created? A really important key input was basically desk research. We wanted to make sure we captured existing conditions and all of the existing resources and understood the data and trends that are impacting Londonderry today. So we had folks on our team pull a lot of different data from federal sources like the US Census, state resources, town data. We also wanted to make sure we did not overlook all of the many fantastic resources that are already developed by boards and committees in town. What you'll see in the plan is a number of charts, tables, maps, call-out boxes that really dive into this understanding of existing conditions and the factors that are impacting the town today. Another key component, like Kim discussed, is we've really found community insights to be a crucial part of this work. The master plan represents the community's shared vision for the future. So we really needed to be very deliberate about capturing those insights that were received through the survey results, through the workshop feedback and input, and through the many master plan steering committee discussions that were hosted here. And what you'll see throughout the plan, sometimes you'll see call-out boxes in the body of the plan that show a sample survey finding and what some of the kind of dominant answers were to a particular survey question. If you really want to dig deep, you have well over 200 pages of appendices. You can actually read every single piece of input, all of the flip chart paper, all of the maps that people worked on in this room. For the many folks, for the 2,000 plus surveys that were completed, every open-ended question is captured in that appendices. So you can do a word search and find your own responses, and they will be part of this, and they're all captured in this. And then we basically, our job as the staff of the SNHPC team who were working to put this together, we had to work together to combine these two items. And we really did that in the narrative, and we also used these two perspectives to inform master plan strategies. Now, I'm not going to go through all the strategies of the master plan tonight. There are roughly 6 to 8 strategies per chapter, but a few that I'll highlight here that kind of stood out in our more recent conversations over the fall. The people really elevated the importance of resolving water contamination concerns and expanding utilities so everyone in the community has access to safe drinking water. We talked about implementing different approaches to reduce traffic speeds and improve safety for all users of the road. We talked about strategically expanding infrastructure in a very targeted way, especially in parts of the community where we'd like to expand commerce and industry. And we talked about a robust culture of volunteerism and how important that is for supporting the civic life of the community and the various local historic and cultural organizations in town. So here's your table of contents. Here, when you kind of approach the draft plan, you're going to see it divided into 2 parts. You saw that kind of timeline that Cam presented earlier. Part 1 really drew upon the first master plan survey that was conducted and fielded in 2024. And that input was used to complete the chapters you'll see in part 1. Part 2 drew upon the 2025 survey, and we used that input to complete these chapters. And we included a plan insert that I thought it was really important to do a couple of things. One, acknowledge the fantastic community input that went into this and all of the engagement. So we actually thought that was a great thing to call out in the center of the document. And we also included the future land use map in that center insert as well. And I will not talk about every single chapter, obviously, given the fact we want to be mindful of time, but I'm going to talk about 3 areas. The introduction, the
question.
insert, and next steps for implementation.
Quick question. Can you put that slide back up, the one
Sure.
you just had? You had the 2,200 surveys. What was the breakout between part 1 and 2?
It was roughly like,
Was it 50-50?
No,
60-40?
it was
More in
probably
the first one.
60-40
Yeah.
on the
So
on part 1 to part 2.
Yeah,
Thank
'cause
you.
we had over 1,000 on the first survey.
Thank you.
yeah.
Yep.
I think it was like 1,400.
Introduction. I want to call attention to this because this is the chapter that includes Londonderry's vision statement. And this is something that a lot of work went into, especially from the steering committee. I'll give this a moment and read this out loud. I know everyone can read, but I think it's really helpful and important because this is the crux of the plan. It's one of the required components of the master plan. And ideally, all of the other strategies should be working towards this vision statement. So Londonderry values its unique character, agricultural heritage, and natural beauty while embracing responsible growth and modern conveniences. Residents and town officials are committed to maintaining a high quality of life while ensuring fiscal responsibility through sound investments in infrastructure, town services, and community programs. As good environmental stewards, Londonderry fosters development while preserving its distinctive New Hampshire identity, natural resources, and ensures a thriving, inclusive community for generations to come. This is a glimpse into the plan insert that highlights the various aspects of community engagement that inform the plan. And another really important part is this future land use map, where we basically distill a lot of the concepts that were brought to the table through the survey input and through the mapping workshop, and start to place those ideas onto the page and visualize where they might be implemented geographically. So you'll see there's different colors representing different types of uses, everything from residential to industrial to commercial and conservation. I'm not going to walk you through all of these, but since we are located in the center of town near the town commons tonight, we're going to focus on this blue area. And you'll see that not only does it show where in the community we're speaking of, but it also provides a little bit of a mini vision statement and future land use priorities that are relevant to this part of town, including preserving historic structures and resources, preserving the civic character and creating spaces and cultural landscapes for community engagement. We talk about also kind of the transportation components that are necessary to support these type of civic and institutional uses. And then chapter 10 is the last thing I'm going to ask you all to give a particularly careful attention to. We had a lot of conversations with the steering committee about how important it was for us to really be mindful and thoughtful about what goes into the implementation chapter. No one wants this to be a plan that sits on the shelf. Everyone wants this to be a living document. And this is something where the steering committee is making recommendations to the planning board, and it will be up to the planning board to really understand and determine whether this is the correct approach. Basically, the recommendation is that the planning board will lead next steps and emphasize the sustained collaboration that has benefited the master plan to date. The notion was that the planning board would proceed with creating an implementation matrix that would take each strategy and then identify action steps, key stakeholders to be involved with implementation, and a proposed timeline for advancing this work. There was a recommendation that this should directly build upon the strategic plan activities that are currently taking place. The strategic plan is very near-term focused, and what the master plan should do should provide a pathway for building beyond those initial 1 to 3 years of strategic plan actions. And there was a recommendation that the planning board assign one individual to really take responsibility for spearheading a semi-annual review process, offering an opportunity to perhaps reestablish different priorities and or celebrate some successes that we hope to see from this master plan. Okay, in terms of next steps, quickly, this is available on the Master Plan Steering Committee's webpage right now, and we'd appreciate everyone's help with getting the word out. The public comment period will last through the end of this month. You'll see this box when you land on that page, and there will be 2 different links, one for downloading the draft master plan and one for downloading the appendices. There is also a link to click to submit comments, and when you click on that link, you'll see a Google form. The only things you need to provide are your email, your first and last name, and your comments on the draft master plan. It will benefit us as folks who are tasked with incorporating comments to, if you are able to provide a page number or a chapter reference, that will be really beneficial for those of us who are trying to knit all of the comments together. And with that, that's our presentation for this evening.
Wonderful. Board, anybody have any questions?
No, so, but I do have a comment that it's also, the document is also available on the first page of the town website as well. So you don't need to find the master plan steering committee's website page, whatever. Thank you. It is right on the first page, so easy to get to, easy to click on, easy to find. And thank you very much for all your work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Anything else from the board?
No, I just want to acknowledge the work that Suzanne and Cam particularly have done, especially in the last 6 months. Really kind of, as you know, when they came in, really focused work where it mattered and where it needed to kind of go. So we're in a good spot because of the work that you and your team has done. So thank you for that. I also want to mention that there will be a public hearing on for the master plan before the board officially adopts it. It's scheduled right now for March 4th.
Yes. Thank you for reminding. Yeah, 1 month from today.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
All right.
Well, thank you, folks.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks for your
Thank
time.
you. All right, we're going to get into some new plans. We have a public hearing for an application for a formal review of a site plan for 40 residential units and a conditional use permit for 1,023 square feet of buffer impacts, including associated site improvements in the C2 zone, 225 Rockingham Road, tax map 15, lot 126. Gen X Construction Group LLC is the owner and applicant. If you folks want to come on up.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
I'll recuse myself from this because I have a family member that abuts this
Sure.
property.
Just take note that Mr. Varani has recused himself from this site plan application. Before we get going here, we do need to check this for completeness. We do have 2 outstanding checklist items. How would the board like to act on those?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I will move that we waive the 2 items for waiver for acceptance purposes only.
I have a motion from Mr. Rugg to accept this application as complete and waive these items for acceptance only. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Sean. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
John Cruz, aye.
Tony D, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Jeff Penta, aye.
John Farrell, aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. All right. Before we get going, Kelly and John, do you have anything, or we want to get right into it?
Get right into it.
All right, gentlemen. Floor is yours.
Good evening. My name is Tony Marcotte. I work for MDP Development, and I'm here on behalf of Gen X Construction Group. The
If
owner
you
of-
could speak up a little bit and into the microphone so the crowd can hear you, I'd appreciate it.
I'm representing the owners, Gen X Construction Group. Typically, George Chadwick would be here presenting these plans for Bedford Design, but he is ill this evening, so I'm filling in for him. Bob Baskerville from Bedford Design is here if we need any assistance from them. The proposed project is a 40-unit townhome development in 3 buildings, 2 12-unit buildings and a 16-unit building. Essentially the same layout and plan that was presented almost exactly a year ago for this property. With me is Derek Roach, a professional engineer with our traffic consultant, Vanessa Associates. He can answer questions regarding the traffic study, driveway permit, and location of the driveway. And he worked with the Assistant Director of New Hampshire DOT.
Ray, Martha. I don't mind. If you guys have to talk, can you just go outside, please? Thank you. Yes, sir.
He worked with the Assistant Director of New Hampshire DOT District 5, and they granted the curb cut driveway permit. The property is zoned C2, as mentioned. It's a 6-acre parcel. It's served by public water and sewer, and after construction is complete, 2/3 of the property will be green space, which is double what is required. These buildings will have the same color scheme as the Gilcrest Road project, Gilcrest Commons, that was approved by the same owners under a different LLC. That project is nearing completion. And the one difference between the 2 projects, as you can see there, is every 4 units, the buildings step up 1 foot. And there's a ramp at that transition so that the sidewalk remains flat. It's true for all buildings, including the 16-unit buildings. And that was done because the property raises gradually from the road towards the back of the property. And there wasn't wasn't the typical up and down of parking lots that you see. And it worked well for presentation, grading, and there'll be 12 units that have walkouts, and the remaining units will have full basements. There is one waiver request regarding locating trees larger than 15 inches. This property was owned by the same family for quite a while, so they logged and took most of the larger trees, and what's left is small undergrowth. It will help buffer the project from the abutting properties because it is pretty thick and there are some trails through it. There was an existing home on the property that was used by the fire department for a training exercise and has since been removed. We are asking for a conditional use permit for residential in a commercial district. This project, we feel, is a good transition between the industrial warehouse to the north and the residential properties to the south behind the storage units. The plans do show a 75-foot AR1 buffer, and that's left over from the Route 28 overlay district. The commercial zone requires 50 feet, so that will be updated on the final set of plans. I just want to address the one of the waiver requests for utility clearance letters. They were submitted on December 31st by George Chadwick, and I do have those with me this evening, and I don't want to bog the meeting down, but since you accepted it as a condition, they were submitted and I do have them. With that, I'll turn over the presentation to Derek to discuss the traffic study and obtaining the permit.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, before he gets into the traffic studies, can we identify for everybody where the driveway is going to be so that everybody's clear on where it's going to be before he starts talking about traffic?
Sure. Kelly, can you pull up? John, that makes sense for you?
So the
So the
existing
driveway's going to be adjacent to the driveway that's coming out from Freezer Warehouse?
No, there's a
No,
residential
this is
lot
on
in
the same
between
side.
two.
So let me just back up a little.
Existing driveway.
So you have,
Sure.
whoops, Smith Lane, right here.
Yep,
Right there.
This is the parcel outlined in black.
Yep.
And then their driveway is right here, where my mouse is.
Is this at the existing driveway, Kelly?
Yes.
That is correct.
Thank you.
and how far is the existing driveway from where Freezer Warehouse's entrance is?
Pull up Google Maps. It's,
I just looked
live
at it,
view, yeah.
not just for me.
Be about 230 feet.
I was gonna say, it's gotta be a little over 200.
It has to be over. Just to orient everybody, this is the parcel.
I think if you go to the, yeah, there you go.
This is the parcel, this is Freezer Warehouse. This is the existing driveway,
Okay.
Smith Lane.
Right,
Exit
thank
5
you.
is that
I,
way.
I was looking at it on Google Maps and everything else, but I just wanted to make sure we all had a clear
Yep.
understanding before we started talking about traffic. So thank you for that.
Of course.
Could I ask a question?
Go ahead, Ann.
How close is the end of Smith Lane to your driveway?
We don't have that number in front of me. We did site distance measurements for the driveway.
And middle of the driveway to the middle of Smith Lane looks to be 300, oh geez, hold on, I got two measurements.
130 feet.
100, yeah, I was gonna say 150, 150 feet.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
I wish they weren't that light.
All right, guys,
All right.
go ahead.
No problem. Yes, for the record, Derek Roach with Vanassen Associates, Senior Transportation Engineer and Professional Engineer. We did the traffic study. We looked at trip generation for the site. We looked at site distances at the driveway. So in terms of trip generation, we're talking minimal amount of trips. We're talking peak hours, 15 trips in the morning, 20 in the evening. Peak hours, so that's one trip every 3 minutes in the morning. Sorry, 4 minutes in the morning and 3 minutes in the evening. So minimal trips. So and then like I said, we looked at the site distances. We compared that to both AASHTO standards and NHDOT all-season site distance state standards. The driveway meets all thresholds required for safe driveway operations. And as stated, this has been reviewed by NHDOT. It was submitted to them for the driveway application, permit application, and they have reviewed, and they had no issues with the location of the driveway or the plan as presented. So I'll open it up to questions for that.
All right, I'm going to start with town staff, and then I'll come to the board, and we'll go to the public. Kristen?
Hi. So, right, there's one waiver that we already talked about, and then there's two conditional use permits, one for the conservation overlay. Let's see, I think there was about 900 square feet of impact, wetland buffer impact. And then there's a conditional use permit for a multifamily use in a C2 district. The only thing with that is that it's subject to a finding that the applicant has demonstrated compliance with the density, design, and dimensional standards that are applicable to this multifamily housing in a non-residential district. So that's what I have for this portion.
Can I add one more thing? In terms of the site distance standards, we also compared them to Londonderry's own site distance standards as well as NHDOT's and AASHTO's. And it meets all of them. I missed that earlier, sorry.
Thank you. John Kelly?
Yeah, number of engineering comments, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The applicant indicates the town of Londonderry stormwater permit is needed for the proposed development. In addition, a separate DOT permit is needed for the proposed sewer and water line connection within Route 28 right-of-way. The applicant should submit for and obtain all project permits. The applicant's grading design indicates the 18-inch pipe at flared end section 37 would be exposed, that being no cover based upon an indicated grading shown. We recommend the applicant review and revise the design and compliance to be in compliance with the regs. The applicant's outlet structure for the proposed wetland stormwater basin does not provide the town's standard outlet control device consistent with the town's exhibit. We recommend the applicant arrange a meeting with the Department of Engineering and Environmental Services to discuss the proposed outlet structure of the stormwater system and update the design to meet the town's regulations. The applicant's sewer connection at Rockingham Road proposes to install a new sewer manhole on the existing sewer interceptor, but the plans do not address how the sewer service across Rockingham Road to serve the site will be constructed. Recommend that they work it out with the DOT as well as town staff. There are a number of comments related to the site grading, site plan, grading plan, utility plan, as well as a number of comments regarding the drainage analysis. We also recommend that they verify the DRC comments. As Kristen indicated, there is one waiver request that they're asking for, that being regarding the size of the trees being located, then the conditional use permit for the wetlands, and then the conditional use permit for the proposed residential use within the commercial zone. That's all I have right now.
Thank you. I will I'll go through the board. Board, you got any questions?
I have a few.
Yep.
Just preface this with that, when I first moved here to town, I lived in Windermere, across from North School. So this area where the mobile triangle is, it's probably been a D or an F since I moved in there in 1990. So, and with the distances being 130 feet from one driveway to Smith Road, the stopping distance for 35 miles an hour is 135 to 210 feet. Where the storage place is now, back when some of you were still in high school, there was a strip mall proposed for there, but they couldn't meet the traffic regulations and couldn't meet the changes that were needed for that area. I need a lot of convincing about what we're gonna do about sending another 100 cars out in what's already an area. I mean, freezer warehouse, minimal traffic. Storage, minimal traffic. We're gonna send over, more than 100 trips a day, maybe more than that, out into an area that is already failed. So I need to know a lot more about what they're gonna do to mitigate that. And as far as DOT is concerned, they thought 55 miles an hour was a good idea on 102 until we convinced them it was a bad idea after some people had some fatal accidents. So those are my comments.
Some comments too.
Go ahead, Ann.
That's the, well, coming off of Mammoth Road and going on to Smith Lane, it's a typical drive for me. And the traffic coming down from Rockingham Road is going really fast, and you have to look, jerk your head back, looking for the traffic coming. And now they're gonna have to look into the right also at that point. And the cars are usually moving, seldom do they stop there. They think they can get into the flow of traffic. I'm worried about that. And I'm also worried that in conjunction with the other project that's across the street, the traffic studies have been done separately. I'd like someone to take a look at it, the combined, use of that area by the autos. I want to see some comments about how one project will affect the other as far as the traffic flow there and the safety of anybody, going any of those directions. Because we have Rockingham Road coming around, we have Smith Road, we've got a driveway here, we've got a driveway there. And I'd like to have something done to do a little study about that. The issues that might, bring up. I just, like I said, for myself, even if I'm coming off Smith Lane, and having to look back and see who's coming and look forward and see if anybody's going to come in from the other intersection either, from the other development. I wish somebody would take a look at that as a whole and still, see if it's viable. I'm not saying it isn't, but I feel uncomfortable
Mr. D?
about that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are we just doing traffic now, or are we talking about the whole thing, or
I'm fine.
what do you
with
want to do?
If you have questions, ask them.
Okay, so I'll start with traffic. So, I don't understand. Well, first of all, I saw a memo somewhere in the file, and of course I can't find it right now, that said something about the state has a plan to rework the 28
Yeah.
Mammoth Road thing. Is that a 20-year, 2-year?
Long-term plan.
In the works?
That plan's been in the works for 30 years.
Okay, so.
Already.
Yeah, so.
Exit 4A.
Yeah.
They,
So,
10-year plan?
That only
Go
took
ahead.
50 years.
Stonehenge and
What they call it is their 10-year plan,
I
but
don't-
acknowledge it,
Next
past
year,
10 years.
next year it's the 10-year plan too.
got it.
Just for reference.
Thank you. I just needed that clarification. But also, so clearly, Smith Road, as it's lane, is as it's currently used, is a redundant road.
The state road though, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, the state does own
road.
Smith Lane.
And so why don't we petition the state to close it off? Because or do what we did with Buttrick Road, I think when you were still in high school, John, because I wasn't in high school when the other thing happened on Smith.
No, I wasn't in
but-
high school then.
But, so why wouldn't we want to petition the state?
Because the
And,
process to petition the state will take longer than we probably take to live.
oh,
So if I
it's
can,
no longer than being on the 10-year plan every year.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. Trotter?
unfortunately, I didn't bring the plan down here with me. So again, the idea is, again, they're gonna signalize the intersection. 128 and 28 will come to a T intersection, and it'll be a signalized intersection with 2 left turn lanes heading south on 128. Yeah, 2 turn lanes heading south, 2 lanes heading.
Heading north.
Turn lanes heading north,
Yeah.
correct. And then Smith Lane, they cannot discontinue that, Tony, because that's how the storage unit has their frontage.
Right, but they don't need 2 ways in and out.
Correct.
They could just do that from Mammoth Road.
Correct, which, and I don't believe it's from Mammoth, the plan that I've seen, Tony, goes to 28. So you're right, it'll only be one entrance, okay? So
Makes
it'll be a
sense that it comes
driveway
from 28.
Sure.
No,
Okay,
it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense that it
It
would
would make
come
more
from
sense if they would just give the road to the town and then we could deal with it.
Well,
And
again,
then the
that's
council could
another,
make a decision just to make it a one-way.
sure, that's
That
another,
would be easier.
Absolutely.
yeah,
Because remember, there was a road behind the Bank of America, and
Right.
the town closed that road.
correct. Yep, and the town changed Buttrick Road with that one little section to one-way,
Right.
and put a stop sign going the other way, and straighten that mess out.
Correct.
Because it was dangerous for people leaving Buttrick and going on to 102 at the time.
Is there any way to make this access go on Smith Lane instead of right onto 28?
From this site?
Yeah, probably not.
No.
And see, the reason I asked where the driveway was is that I know it's a little bit further away, but if they were able to get access granted to them by the people who now own Freezer Warehouse, which is a corporation, and use that driveway to go out to 28. And I know we're talking about hypotheticals here, but it's just, that's why I asked the question.
and there's a residential
There's
parcel,
a home
John.
in between there.
Parcel in between.
Yeah.
I understand. That was just why I asked the question.
I have a few more comments, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So, a couple things about the building itself. Thank you for remembering the belly bands on the gable end of the building. You'll remember that conversation. We had a lot of laughs about that, but thank you for remembering it. It looks good on the current buildings that are almost done, and it will look good here as well to knock down the 2.5-story height into 3 sections, which makes it a lot better. I don't know why you wouldn't put a cupola on each building where they're separate buildings. You have step-ups and step-downs a foot. I don't know why you wouldn't do that. I think it would look better. I like the little school bus hut, but you got some issues with that, I saw in the notes as well. Remember that the buses do not enter private properties. And so that bus will be stopping on Rockingham Road. Not that that's a problem. They stop up and down Rockingham Road already anyway. They also stop on Mammoth Road all the time. They stop on 102. So that's not an issue. Citing that cute little hut could be problematic, but I'm sure you have the ability to work that out with staff. That's all the comments I have for now, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Anything else from the board?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Rugg?
Listening to Ann and John also, I think when the conceptual discussions came from each of these, we had talked about doing the traffic study together. So does your traffic study include what is happening across the street with the multifamily?
Our traffic study is just a trip generation memo and site distance. So there's no capacity analysis, there's no future condition analysis, there's no incorporation of other background developments or anything. The level of traffic generated from this development is very minor.
I think we gotta consider everything together, and that's where I have a concern.
So just so that the board can understand, so each of these projects stand alone. So when they do their trip generation analysis, that's, if it goes over 100 peak trips per hour, that's what kicks them into a full traffic analysis. Neither of these projects do that. So again, it's hard for us, we can't tell them that they gotta do the full traffic analysis unless the board sees something that, obviously that you wanna look at. The other thing is that when DOT looks at this, they look at the percentage of how much additional traffic are they already adding to a congested roadway. And I think what these numbers end up being about 1%, because when you look at how many cars go by there, I think it was like 1,500 cars during the peak hour. So when you look at what they're generating, it's, like I say, it's 1%. So I'm just telling you the facts, what, how the state looks at it and how we look at it as staff too.
And just
Just,
to add to that, from a timing standpoint, as far as when these came in, while they're on your agenda at the same time, they came in a significant amount of time apart. To the next project on the agenda came in first, followed by this one. I believe it was like 9 to 10 months later. So just, again, just as a timing reference.
So,
Go ahead.
thank you. So to that point, so do we punish the last guy in?
I'll reiterate what John said, and I'll say that you have two private property owners, two private developments, separate lots. We have to follow what the regulations say. We can't make them. Staff can't make them. Do a joint study. The board may consider asking for additional information if you need more information to make an informed decision, but you should be clear if and when you articulate that as to what exactly that is and why you need it in this discussion or the next, so.
Kelly, can you
Thank
pull
you.
up 4A supporting docs for 225 Rockingham Road and go to page 20?
This?
Yep. All right, before I get into traffic, I want to talk about access to the site. Can you guys tell me a little bit about what we're looking at here?
That was produced for the fire department so that they could show that their current equipment could enter the site, go through the driveway, and the offset cul-de-sac at the end of the road accommodated that fire apparatus. So
So I see what we're looking at. I see a truck coming in. I see a truck turning around. I can't find anything on here that tells me a little bit about the truck.
it's what the Londonderry Fire Department requires us to accommodate based off their current equipment.
Is the spec anywhere on the page itself?
I don't see it there, but it was reviewed with the fire department, and the requirements were directly from the fire department, and they met with the fire department to review the turning radius. We could submit the turning radius of a fire truck, but given that large size offset cul-de-sac, it can easily accommodate the fire apparatus as shown.
Now, what is you're saying it can reasonably accommodate the fire apparatus. That's under the assumption that the plan is done with the correct spec, which we can't verify because it's not on the sheet. But nonetheless, let's say to your point, you can make a reasonable assumption that it's correct. What's the width of the lane between the end of the parking space and the edge of the road?
It's a 22-foot aisleway.
22-foot aisleway.
Right.
Okay, hold on here.
Are the parking spaces 20 feet?
Yep.
Correct.
Thank you.
Request that the town standard of a 28, the fire department requests the town standard of a 28-foot wide roadway for apparatus access. At a minimum, we require 12 feet. So at 22 feet, you certainly don't meet the minimum that the fire department's requiring, so that could be an access issue. My next question, because we all know this is an apartment building or a condos or whatever you want to call it, there's going to be people parked on the other side of the road right next to the no parking signs. That'll probably be littered up and down the side of this. I'm not sure because I haven't seen them on a plan yet, but I can reasonably assume they're going to be there. So if we have a fire in unit C, in building C all the way down at the end, and there's 4 people parked on that side of the road, how are we getting our fire truck down there?
Well, we provided one more space than the town regulations require.
Mhm.
The state now requires 1. We did 2 per unit, and our experience has been that that's more than adequate. The larger the development, the lower the number, but 1.5 is the typical number that we have found is adequate. So we're providing more than adequate space. We try not to pave as much as, or a very large area. We certainly could add more parking spaces, but we do meet the town requirements. And as far as the 22-foot width of the driveway, every site plan submitted and approved utilizes that 22-foot driveway, and that similar comment of 28 feet is common, but all of the sites have a 22 or sometimes 24-foot wide drive. So that's why the project does have the 22-foot wide driveway. Certainly, if the board insisted, we could pave more and add 6 more feet to the north or to the east side of the driveway. There's more than enough space there. And regarding Londonderry Freezer Warehouse, I worked with the former, one of the former owners, and he gave me a contact with the current owners, and they did not respond. Just regarding slope easements or working with them. And as far as tying the driveway together, we'd be mixing tractor-trailer deliveries with vehicles, and I'm not sure that that would work out. But we did try to contact them and got no response.
I would think that if I'm the person in charge of the Londonderry Freezer Warehouse, I wouldn't want to make your liability my problem.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I just wanted to address because it
Yep.
came up as a
Yep.
concern. Can I answer one
Sure.
question regarding site distance and people pulling out? There's over 580 feet of site distance when you're looking left, pulling out of this driveway. So if somebody is coming up Smith Lane and somebody is leaving this driveway, if there's anybody that is coming up, they have more than enough time to see that person, and that is a yield sign. So they are moving, and anybody coming out of this driveway can see. To have 580 feet of sight distance is not very common. So that's why DOT approved it, because you can see traffic coming, going north on Route 28 or accessing Smith Lane. If the board or the town wanted to close Smith Lane, that's certainly something that we would not oppose. But because of the large distance that people entering and leaving this project can see, which is more than typical, we feel that there'll be safe entrance and exit from this property.
So I want to, hold on one sec, Jeff. So, again, one of our design review comments from the fire department, at a minimum, we require 12 feet for each lane of travel. So I think that needs to be addressed.
Jake, could I just highlight, just while you're on this point, so
Mhm.
that just, I want to confirm on the record, that's the most recent information that staff has directly from the fire department. In the applicant's response to comments, they indicated they made a resubmission in the, November, I believe. However, I don't have any formal communication from the fire department that is verifying that this plan in front of you is to their standards. So I just wanted to make that clear for the record.
Okay.
And that makes sense, because it doesn't.
Right, correct, it doesn't. LPD, concerned about traffic. They believe that the intersection, the increased traffic generation to the intersection from all the projects warrant further review. Limited access to the rear and side of the buildings is not ideal. I would agree on both of them. I think this warrants an additional traffic study based off of how close you are to Smith Lane. It's a busy road, it's a busy intersection. I'd actually ask the town of Londonderry for some historical data, say over the past decade, as to what we've seen for accidents at the intersection of Smith Lane and Rockingham Road. But before I can even really get to traffic, I just see a really big safety problem here. We've got one very long road that accesses this entire site that, while the applicant is saying, I'm sure they are, they have more spaces than are required. I think if we add the human aspect to this, and there is an emergency at this site, we are going to have a very large problem on our hands with getting access to any of these buildings. And I think the board needs to take that into some serious consideration here. Back to what LPD said, there is no access to the backs of the buildings. There's no access to the side of the buildings. From what I can see, whether there was a resubmission or not, there's a 22-foot wide access that doesn't even meet what we're asking for, which is 12 feet in each lane of travel. And at the end of the day, doesn't consider the human aspect of the fact that there's gonna be 10 cars parked on the side of that road, and the fire department's just not going to be able to get through. So,
If I could add one
sure.
more thing about the site.
Before you do that, Jeff, you did have your hand up.
Yeah, no, thanks, Mr. Chair.
Sorry, John.
No worries.
Actually, John, if you wanna, if you're gonna tag along on that comment, I can go after you.
I'm not gonna tag on the fire department.
Okay.
Enough was clarified.
Briefly, you mentioned kind of the response you received from DOT, and I'm just having a hard time wrapping my head around kind of that aspect.
They've granted the permit.
I understand that.
So.
So what?
So that means they're okay with the project.
Right. So what I would definitely like to see, though, is a full scoping meeting between DOT, the town, and the applicant as a condition. Because I think that's important.
I don't even think it should be a condition. I think it's what needs to happen in order for us to ensure that this site plan is safe, to be honest with you, Jeff. I agree.
I agree.
I think it
Actually,
needs to
what
be
you
there.
said was exactly where I was going with something. Art may remember this, but when they built the Starbucks on 102, DOT came in and granted the permit, and they said, yeah, you can go out and turn any way you want. And the planning board said, no one's making a left turn out of there. And we restricted it to a right turn. So if DOT's okay with it and the applicant doesn't want to do anything, we can restrict it to a right turn only. And that would be much safer than trying to make a left.
I believe we have a right turn only a half a mile up the street at Twins.
Yeah, and you could have, across the street, just to jump to the other project, then they get right turn only going the other way. But, but that would, because Smith Lane, I mean, let's face it, everyone who's lived in this community knows that when you hit Smith Lane, you hit the gas.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
Exactly.
Doing 60 by the time I get.
Well, I don't know how fast you're going because I'm, Sergeant Cruz may have an issue with that, but.
It's Lieutenant.
Lieutenant.
Oh, I'm sorry. I missed the promotion. Congratulations.
So I think, and if any of the board would like to talk, I am going to open this up to the public, but I'm certainly going to be looking for a continuance on this. I mean, I don't even know if we're looking at the right plan now based off of what Kelly
You
just
are.
said.
You're looking at the right plan, the most recent submission. I just wanted to highlight that from the fire department comment standpoint.
They're from the previous plan.
My understanding is that's based on the previous. While there may have been conversations, I don't have anything formal from the fire department confirming that this plan in front of you is acceptable to them.
Okay, so
It has to be the formal,
I think in and of that in and of itself, granted the complexity of this, is well worth the continuance. I do think that we need a more broad traffic study. I would very much recommend what Jeff said with a scoping meeting between the town, the applicant, and the state, so we can all get on the same page here. Before I go to the public, does anybody else in the board have anything?
I do.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the applicant, please.
Yes, sir.
So, if I'm counting correctly with my little pointer here, some of the units have 8 parking spaces and some have 7. Is that correct? Am I counting them correctly?
Yeah, in between the islands.
Yeah, in between certain islands.
So
there's
the
only
first building, for example, as you come in from the road, has, the first part of the building, the first 4 units have 8 parking spots, that's 2 per, but then the next one, the one in the middle, only has 7.
Well, all of the spaces in front of that building will be open to all of the residents of that building. Where visitors would typically park would be on the east side of the property. But it's just the nature of,
The east side where the fire lane is?
there's
22
parking
foot-
spaces about 3/4 or about 2/3 of the way down.
The 6
that-
near the mailroom, mail
Yes.
boxes?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the road is 1,100 feet from the beginning, or the driveway is 1,100 feet from the beginning
Yeah.
of the intersection with the pavement of Route 28 and the end of the cul-de-sac.
So you have, it looks like 4 handicap spots. Are those required, or did you just add them to have them?
They're required by ADA requirements, but
4 were required for 40 units?
it's, we just went over, it's 4 per unit, and we tripped 4 spaces for 75 to 100 parking spaces, and we have 82, so we just barely met that requirement. There is no requirement for any of the units to be ADA accessible. And the reason why there's 7 spaces in between, it's just the nature of stepping up the building and having to keep drainage working and doing that 1-foot step up at an island. So those islands were placed there so that we could step up the units.
So when one of these units has a Christmas party, where do people park?
Right in the fire lane.
It's a rhetorical question, so please don't answer. The chair has already made a comment. So one of the biggest problems with Route 28 is that it's a state road and there's no shoulders. And the YMCA, I know from firsthand experience, because I was on the board of directors of the Y for many, many years, had a problem with cars parking on 28, and the state took exception to that, and they got several nasty grams and a site visit, which didn't go well for them. People are gonna park where they're gonna park, and I think you have a problem, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anything from the board before I go to the public?
I just
Yes, sir.
echo everyone's comments. I'm concerned with the parking, a Super Bowl party or anything. Now you've got people that don't have places to park. I'm concerned about not being able to get around the building. I don't even think a right-hand turn in this intersection is even gonna help if it was just right-hand only, because it's an awful area. I try to avoid it at all costs, and, so yeah, I just think where they're proposing to put it is not a great idea.
Mr. Rugg.
I just want to add, and I think, I know Jonathan alluded to it, the police is the access of the backside of the building. I think the fire department would like to access the backside also, because sometimes you might not get it from the front might be blocked, and the only other way is from the backside of that building. So I think you need to think about that.
Anything else before I go to the public? All right, this is a public hearing. I will open it up to the public. Feel free to come up, state your name, address, please.
Giovanni Verani, 73 Page Road. Now, I don't have a problem with the fact that they're proposing multifamily in a commercial zone due to the state of the housing environment, but I do have a problem, and we heard this plan conceptually this summer, I think. And some of the things that came up in this plan was some of the things that you folks talked about tonight. That that was a conceptual at one point, but that layout with that road length and the concerns that could happen with the access behind the buildings, trees falling down across the street at the beginning of the street, not being able to get to the last building that starts fire. All these things are things that were brought up before. I don't see any substantial changes to what we commented on in the conceptual phase. So I'm not sure where that went. It's just maybe come up and have a conceptual hearing and then say, well, I'm still going to do what I want to do. I think the access to this site, I think maybe I don't know, maybe I can ask the applicant, but is the state telling you can have a curb cut, or is the state actually looking at the scope of the plan and saying that, yeah, it's an appropriate curb cut for that development?
You can answer that.
Yeah, the state has looked at this plan, they've reviewed it, and they have granted the curb cut permit.
So it's a curb cut in relation to the scope of the plan?
Correct.
For 40 units.
Okay. Because all these properties have right to a curb cut off of Route 28, except for on Evans piece, which is limited access highway up there. But anyhow, Smith Lane and that access, it's unlike the property even across the street, because Smith Lane is kind of, you're in a gully, and you guys have all driven Smith Lane. You're kind of in a gully, and you're coming up on that ramp, right? And this thing, yeah. And then that's right there. So you are, Ann referenced it, you're cocked all the way back. You're trying to gauge traffic. You're coming up, boom, it's right there. So, that's just scary. Across the street, you can see that. You see that, and that's significantly, that's like 430 feet up, and you can react. But that one right there is, boom, right in front of you. And, I don't even know what the new state law, Tony, I think you were going to mention something about that, but, see commercial, maybe Kelly can clarify that. Do you even need to go for the CU conditional use permit now, or is it by state? What's it? Okay. So it's C2, which means there could be other forms of use on the property. You have to grant a conditional use to do multifamily, which is a higher use on the property versus if you looked at what you could do in a C2 zone, and maybe there could be something like the freezer warehouse, for instance. That's a property that's there that has minimal traffic. You could do industrial here, or a light form of industrial, I-1 industrial. You could do self-storage here. You could do things that have less of an impact. So you have to first get through the conditional use based upon multifamily, which I'm not, I think you should allow multifamily in a commercial zone, but I'm not sure that, but the parcel needs to be relevant to that needs to come into the overall equation of what you grant. So
thank you.
My thoughts. And I'm 56 years old, and I've been driving that road every single day of my life. So I have a lot of practical experience.
I want to just put something in perspective for the board real quick while we're talking about Smith Lane. Right now, from the edge of the existing driveway to the edge of Smith Lane, there's 38 feet. If you go from the middle to the middle, there's 127 feet. Give or take 10 feet, because I'm going off of Google Maps.
So it wasn't 130 that we were, it's 38 feet and stopping distance minimum is 135 feet. Thank you.
Anything else from the public? Yes, sir.
My name is Brent, and Brent Lascow. I've been here for 34 years in the town of Londonderry. You know, this whole concept brings a lot of concern for me. I drive my stepson, who's 9 years old, to and from school every morning, and you're saying that the traffic influx is going to be roughly the times of the working hours. Smith Road creeps right up on you. Like everybody here, has driven that road hundreds and hundreds of times in their lifetime they've been here. Like Giovanni said, you're creep back looking like this, you're going to gun it. Now, if there's a car right behind, and that first car is actually turning into this property, and that second car is like, oh, I'm going to try to get out too, and not realize that the car is now turning into this property here, they're going to go right into the back of them. Secondly, how many of these cars at that time going north and southbound are carrying children in their car?
Right.
Yeah, speak to us, please.
Oh, sorry. How many children are in the back seat of a car going north and southbound, going to and from North School? What do you think the consequences would be if one of those cars that has the right of way gets T-boned by a car trying to leave that entranceway? Because they're going to hit the side where the child's sitting. God forbid, I was one that if I got T-boned with my stepson in the car, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. So I think that there is a big old safety concern into regards to this property being so close, the driveway itself being close to Smith, and the right of way of the cars going north and southbound going to the North School Elementary. So there's one of the issues, and coming around going southbound, those cars are actually going at a high rate of speed, regardless of what the speed limit sign says. People are going quick, which is another issue. Another thing is, I see that's also on the agenda for tonight is the 48 unit going across the street. Is that driveway going to be directly across the street from this, or is it going to be offset? Because if it's offset, are we going to have people trying to cross the double yellows, you know, trying to go onto the right way? Like, that's going to be weird to me. And plus with the Y right there too, there's just too many kids for that much more traffic going in. And then my last concern is, like you were talking about with the fire trucks, we look at what just happened with Greater Nashville Mental Health and the gas explosion. Something like that happens here. How are the trucks supposed to get to the backside of the buildings? Other than that, those are just some of my concerns, and I just wanted to voice my opinion. Thank you.
Brent, before you sit down, can we just grab your address for record, please?
5 O'Connell.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anything else from the public?
Robin Stewart, Old Mammoth. First, I'd like to thank you guys for putting so much thought and talk into the traffic. Didn't expect it. I'm really pleased to hear it because I'm really concerned about this. I thought that the town had a conversation with Mr. Mulholland and the town council saying that the town would also do traffic studies. They wouldn't leave it up to developers only anymore.
Sean, I'd have to defer to you on that.
That's something Sean said about possibly in the future. There's no decision made on that.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Because I don't believe that you can have 40 row homes or whatever you call them now and have minimal traffic. People have to go, I assume they go to work, or how would they afford to live there? And I assume some of them have children that have to be driven to school or would prefer to be driven to school. And that's not only is the Smith Lane, but you've also got the curve right there. That curve's really dangerous. And I know that legally you can't look at both, but you have to, because you're talking about 88 units going into one little curve in an area where people already drive too fast. You've got Smith Lane there, you've got the triangle, whatever that is, and the state might do something, but that could, who knows when. So that's all I wanted to say. But thank you all for putting so much thought into the traffic. We appreciate it up there. Thank you.
Anything else from the public?
Hello, my name is Patrick. I live at 221 Rockingham Road. I'm actually the property in between the freezer warehouse and the house that was just recently burned down. Multiple concerns with the traffic. I'm glad that it is taken seriously, but with the development, you know, it is pretty scary. And like all of you have said, that the bend right there and the traffic pattern is pretty dangerous. So I hope that it is taken into serious consideration what is going on. Thank you.
Patrick, do you want me to read this into the record? You sent a letter. Your name just rung a bell. You sent a letter.
Yes.
Are you comfortable with what you've said, or would you like this read into record?
Yes, please.
Okay. You're good.
Thank you.
Yep. Anything else from the public? Come on up.
Hi, honestly, I
Name and
was kind
address,
of
please.
Ethan Schickler, 9 Park Ave.
Thank you.
Honestly, I was looking at some of the images popping up, and I'm always kind of excited about more development and everything. You know, it's really important to me that there's spaces for people to be. Grew up here all my life. Not sure if I'll ever be able to afford to live here as an adult, so that's always been a concern to me. But honestly, this is kind of ridiculous. Like, we're talking like really rudimentary stuff, like the fire department saying, you know, 12 feet on each lane, and it's 22. I mean, seriously, what is going on, guys? We're talking about the visitor spots. I'm seeing, like, you're saying it's 6, it's 5 with a handicap spot. I mean, if one of my friends lived there, all of us are coming after work in our own cars. That's all the visitor spots gone. I mean, like, just like take a second and think before you put these plans together and kind of like come up here. This is crazy. This is like this is so poorly thought out. I mean, you're saying the human aspect of people parking on the side. Yeah, I'd be parking on the side. Like, what are we talking about here? I think the issue with the road, I mean, something's got to happen sooner or later. I think just blocking the whole thing off to any level of development or any increase in traffic isn't like a smart long-term move. We got to keep moving forward, just as a town. But it could be worth it to wait on any action or petition the state for action on this roadway, because it seems pretty damn dangerous. Yeah, I mean, definitely think long and hard about any of this stuff and make sure that they're coming back with a proper plan that actually meets the very basic specs that they've been provided, before anything else happens. Thanks.
Thank you. Anything else from the public? All right, I will read this letter in that was sent to us. Good evening, everyone. I'm Patrick Strong. My family lives at 221 Rockingham Road next to the Londonderry Freezer Warehouse. We've lived here for about 22 years, and we've witnessed significant changes since moving from Manhattan. My mom ran an in-home daycare for 20 of those years, so our driveway was often filled with parents. We watched the freezer warehouse expand, then the daycare closed, and Life Storage was built nearby. The thought of this new development has made our house feel like the last house in the movie Up. My dad and I both understand that a town will have growth and development along its main corridors, and we've seen a lot of that over the years. We do both have some concerns moving forward for this significant junction of the road and development right in front of our home. I'd like to express my concerns, as well as some my father mentioned who unfortunately can't be here tonight. We understand it's a state road, we've been told this for years, but the town gets to approve the developments and improvements on this road. The specific junction of Route 28 and Rockingham Road and Smith Lane has always been a fiasco in all seasons. Over the years, we've had parents from the daycare, trucks from the warehouse, and people merging from and onto Smith Lane involved in some life-threatening accidents, all with hundreds of minor rear-enders and fender benders. I've looked for the stats on this information and been told nobody has done this. Before you commit to another additional traffic source, this needs to be done and the issue resolved. If this has been done, may I get a copy of the report, please? Many years ago, there was an armored truck flipped over right across the street. The owner even came to ask us how we felt about the intersection. Nothing happened. There have been dozens of multiple car accidents just from the sun glare alone, sometimes once a week. More or less in the winter, but often more serious accidents from people trying to jump out of Smith Lane onto 28. Was there a traffic report study performed? Request of the speed limit yield sign enforcement, cameras for the intersection, warning signs. Is Smith Lane town-owned? Line and pavement on Smith Lane. These were all bullet points. Was this traffic assessment taken into consideration for 2023? Both projects will increase the traffic by a minimum of 100 cars. Why wasn't I ever giving a hearing notice as an abutter for 223 Rockingham Road? This letter serves as testimony for the projects at 222 and 223 by Sean and Patrick Strong, owner residents at 221 Rockingham Road. Kelly, the only thing I want to talk on here is the hearing notice. Were they noticed?
Yes.
Okay. And that's all through certified mail, so we'd have a record of it?
The initial design review is sent regular mail, then the certifieds are sent for the formal submission this evening. I've also had several conversations with Mr. Strong,
Okay.
and I think I've answered some of those questions that were in his letter.
Okay. Anything else from the board before we keep going here?
I have a general comment. Is it worth us entertaining a query to the town council to see if they would be interested in entertaining a conversation about Smith Lane and a reconfiguration of it or a whatever?
I think it's too far out because the state owns it. I think it's too far out.
Well, but that's the question. Would they be interested in petitioning the state to say, hey, why don't you give us that?
At least to get
Or
things
whatever.
started, what we can.
Just a
do.
thought. Just a thought.
I think you guys get 20 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag. I think there's serious traffic concerns here. I think there's serious safety concerns here. I don't think enough work has been done. I do think that we need a full traffic study. I think we need more of an explanation from the fire department. To some of the public's point, there was a lot of this is redundant that we talked about and nothing has been done about. I'm one member of the board, but I'd entertain a motion to deny this, to be honest with you. But I'm one member of the board. So I think in the meantime, we should look for a motion to continue this.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
I'll make that motion that we continue this public hearing until it would be the 11th of March.
You should just clarify that. What I would ask, and I don't mean to interrupt the motion.
You're fine.
Whichever date you're choosing, also consider what specifically you're asking the applicant to do and just
Yeah, I think
verify
we
they
need
can
like
turn
90
that
days
around.
here, no? Can we
That's
give
a
90
question
days?
for them.
Yeah.
You should specify what you're,
Yeah, I mean, I
asking
want a
for
full
an estimate.
traffic study here for this.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Giovanni out, do I get to vote?
No, because he's appointed.
I'd like to make
Yeah.
a motion, but
I want a full traffic study. How much time do you need for it? I also want a scope review with the state.
I'd have to talk with my boss. I'm not sure.
It would
Can
definitely
we
be
just
several months.
motion to continue with the date to be determined? Or you need
say
a
March
date?
11th, I just wanted to
It'll
point
get
out, you should
continued
be
again.
clear about what you're
Yeah.
expecting.
Yeah, we
Continue
can
it again.
continue it again then until
Yeah.
everything is done,
Yep.
because
Just be
some
clear
plans
about
will
what you're
continue.
asking them for.
That's fine. So I have a motion to continue from Mr. Rugg with a request for a scoping review from, with the state, the town, and the applicant, along with a full traffic study for the impacted intersections,
Conversation with the fire department.
and more input from both fire and police.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I would ask you to amend your motion to include a conversation, a part of that scoping session with the state, that since they have an existing curb cut, the question you want to ask the state is if there was no existing curb cut, would they grant one under these conditions?
I
You
will,
want an answer to that question?
I'll
Because
accept
my
that.
guess is
I
that-
would accept that amendment from Mr. Farrell.
Yep.
I would like to see a letter from the fire department saying that this is acceptable.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's part of what I said with the
Okay,
review.
good.
So, Kelly, is that clear enough for you with the
Just-
motion as well as the amendment?
I just want to recap, just
Yep.
so you're requesting that the applicant have a scoping meeting with the state, town. Are you just blanketly asking for the full traffic study irregardless of that scoping conversation? Because just
I think we need a-
process-wise, typically
yeah.
you scope and then that dictates what you do next.
I think we need a full traffic study here
Okay.
regardless, given the fact that in reality, from edge to edge, it's 38 feet between the edge of Smith Road and the edge of
Yep,
this.
understood. I just wanted to clarify that.
Absolutely.
And
I think
then-
it's looking at what's going to be happening across the street, which.
I'm not even so much
Yes.
concerned as, I want to
I'm taking
focus
this
on
for
this,
this project
the site
only.
that's,
This
that's,
is applicable to this project.
correct.
And then, as John pointed out, existing curb cut, how would they consider that if it wasn't there? Did I get that?
Yeah.
If they would please clarify what their position would be if an existing curb cut did not exist.
And then with respect to the fire department, you'd like a formal letter confirming that they're okay with all the aspects of this plan?
I would like a letter clarifying, they're saying they want 24 feet and there's only 22. So in my eyes, the fire department is not currently satisfied with this site plan.
Okay. And for the police, you referenced their comments, but you also at one point asked for data on accidents, is that?
Yes, I would like historical data for the last decade of accidents in or around the intersection of Smith Lane and Route 28.
That'll be part of the full traffic.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank
That's
you.
what I had, so I just want to make sure.
I have a motion from Mr. Rugg. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Jeff. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
John Cruz, aye. Tony D, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Jeff Penta, aye.
John Farrell, aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. This has been continued to March 11th, 2026. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
So the voting was 8-0-0.
No butter notices will go out.
Yes, no abutter notices will go out on this. This is the one and only notice for this, as it's a continuance. Ryan, just to touch on that real quick, I didn't really answer your question. I just kind of told you no. So both John and Giovanni are appointed positions. We can't appoint an alternate to vote for an appointed position. Only appointed by the town manager.
Town manager.
Correct.
It's too bad, I would have given you the motion.
So an ex officio. Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
I have a public hearing on an application for formal review of a subdivision of 9.624 acre lot into two lots consisting of one 1.226 acre lot and one 8.398 acre lot with associated site improvements in the C1 district. Property is located at 222 Rockingham Road, tax map 15, lot 150-1. Dark Horse Investments LLC is the owner and the applicant. Gentlemen, give me a minute to get my stuff together here.
Mr. Chair, while that's happening,
Yes,
I'd
sir.
like the record to show Mr. Varani has returned to the board.
Thank you very much, Mr. D. All right. Before we get started here, we're going to go through completeness. Kristen, then I'll come to you. We do have 3 outstanding checklist items. I would be looking for a motion to accept this as complete, and these items would be waived for acceptance purposes only.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion from Jeff. I have a second from Mr. D. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Tony Barani, aye.
John Cruz, aye. Tony D, aye.
Jeff Penta, aye.
John Farrell, aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. All right, Kristen, the floor is yours.
So this is an application for a subdivision of a 9+ acre lot into two lots. One coming into a 1 acre lot and the other 8 acres or so. And let's see, there's one waiver that's been requested. It is for the stormwater management report to not be filed with this because it's going to be discussed in the site plan. So that's something you can decide if you want to grant. And then that's pretty much, I think that's all I really need to say about it. But if you have any other questions, please ask.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, good evening. The
Good
floor
evening.
is yours. How we doing?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, my name is Doug McGuire. I'm with the DeBay Group, and I have with me John Norton of Dark Horse Investments LLC, who's the owner and applicant of the property. So, obviously, just as I'm sure all aware, this is regarding the property that we're proposing a multifamily development on, we're doing this piece first because there's an existing single-family home on the property, which we're proposing to subdivide from the property. So all this portion is obviously that needs to happen first prior to anything happening on the multifamily component, which we'd be discussing next. So a fairly simplistic plan, a two-lot subdivision, taking that 9.6 acre development, leaving the existing home on a 1.2 acre development, leaving 8.39 acres left for the future development. We are proposing to eliminate the existing driveway curb cut for the single-family home and add that to a shared driveway that would access both properties. The main reason for that is in discussions and recognizing some of the items that were just discussed on the last application regarding traffic. We're going to be eliminating the curb cut that would be closest to Smith Lane and pulling our curb cut further away. And obviously, we'll talk about all of that in more detail, but for this application, that's all we're doing is just the two-lot subdivision. The waiver for the drainage is just because we have a full drainage study associated with the other, so it doesn't really make sense to do anything at this stage. So happy to answer any questions you have on this.
Keep the subdivision simple, huh? Mr. Trotter, you got anything?
Yep, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the applicant has provided the DOT driveway permit for the new shared driveway under the development. However, the proposed new driveway and indicated utilities will require a Londonderry sewer discharge permit and a Londonderry stormwater permit. The applicant should submit for and obtain all project permits. As far as comments as they relate to the plan, they are to provide a proper monumentation along the easterly property line, should update the subdivision plan, including an easement along Rockingham Road for the existing sewer. Recommend the applicant confirm the easement information is complete and acceptable to the town. Requesting that they verify the DRC comments, the planning, assessing, Concom, fire, police, tax, and sewer division. And as Doug had mentioned, they are requesting that one waiver, or the waiver for the stormwater, as Doug indicated, that's included with the site plan. That's all I have.
All right. Kristen, you got anything? I know you already said you're good, but I just want to double check.
No, I'm good.
Kelly?
All set.
Board? And I will open up public comment, and I will close public comment. All right. We have a couple things to act on here. The first one is a waiver. I am looking for a motion to grant the waiver as outlined in the staff recommendation, and that this waiver can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good.
So moved.
I have a motion from Mr. Farrell. Do I have a second? I have a second from John. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Giovanni Barani, aye.
John Cruz, aye.
Tony D, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Jeff Penta,
John Farrell, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. This waiver has been granted. I am looking for a motion to grant conditional approval of a subdivision of a 9.624 acre lot into two lots consisting of one 1.266 acre lot and one 8.398 acre lot with associated site improvements in the C1 district. The property is located at 222 Rockingham Road, tax map 15, lot 150-1. Dark Horse Investments LLC is the owner and applicant in accordance with plans prepared by the Dubé Group Incorporated, dated May 2nd, 2025, last revised January 15th, 2026.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion from Mr. Rugg. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Jeff. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Giovanni Barani, aye.
John Cruz, aye.
Tony D, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Jeff Penta,
John Farrell, aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative, and this subdivision has been approved. On to the next one, gentlemen. I know you guys are staying there. We have a public hearing for an application for formal review of a site plan for a 48-unit multifamily residential development and a conditional use permit for 2,808 square feet of wetland impacts and 2,357 square feet of buffer impacts, including associated site improvements in the C1 district, 222 Rockingham Road, tax map 15, lot 150-1. Dark Horse Investments LLC is the owner and the applicant. Before I get to Kristen, I'm going to start with completeness. I'm on the wrong one. We have. No, I am on the right one. I'm sorry, guys. We have two items that are not complete on our checklist. I am looking for a motion to waive these items for acceptance purposes only.
So moved.
I have a motion from Mr. Farrell. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Mr. Rugg. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Giovanni Veroni, aye.
John Cruz, aye.
Tony D, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Jeff Penta, aye.
John Farrell, aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. Kristen, before we go to the applicant, do you have anything you would like to add to this?
There's two waiver requests. One is for the pipe cover being less than 36 inches and for the temporary surcharge of pipes during the 25-year storm. There's also two conditional use permits, one for wetlands. There would be 2,800 square feet of wetland impacts and 2,300 square feet approximately of wetland buffer impacts. And then the other one is for a conditional use permit in a multi-family use in the C1 district and the Route 28 Performance Overlay District. So there's those two as well.
Fantastic. Thank you. All right, gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Again, for the record, Doug McGuire with the Dubay Group and John Norton with Dark Horse Investments LLC, the owner and applicant. If it would be okay with you, Mr. Chair, I'd like to hand out just an overview just so we can have some aerial view here.
Sure.
It's all right. Share. No, I'll share.
We can share. Yeah, we can share.
Oh, no, I have enough for you guys. I just...
Thank you.
We can always share one if you.
I'm not sharing with you, Art.
Oh, well.
Only child with siblings.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's okay, Jeff. I'll share with you.
Get
We'll
that
show them
right.
how adults act.
Come on, come on. Your name was again, sir?
I'm John Norton.
Mr. Norton, thank you.
Sure.
Spent a lot of money on these copies.
That's why there's only 12 copies.
8 for 50.
Okay, so just to remind the board, because it has been a little bit, we did come before this board conceptually in January of last year. We presented a proposal very similar to what you have before you in final design. The takeaway from the discussions was an overall positive discussion. We discussed how the shape of this lot and the existing wetlands on the property didn't lend itself to be developed commercially, just because you had a large wetland finger that bisected the middle of the property and limiting visibility to the main road. And so that's why we explored the opportunity of a residential component. So we are proposing in this 4 buildings. Each building is a 3-story building, and of each story is 4 units per floor, totaling 12 units per building, and a total of 48 units in the entire development. And you may recall that we felt that this was a little bit of a unique design, something different that the town doesn't really have, in that you're only doing 12-unit buildings, and that the shape of these units, essentially every unit is a corner unit. And so you have really only one shared wall in most cases, which is nice to have, and it's just something a little bit different that we aren't aware is being built anywhere else in town. It has the tendency to be able to be more affordable, minimizing on-site amenities. It's also structured towards young professionals, first time coming out, back from school, those type of things, because every unit is a 2-bedroom with 2 baths. So you have that opportunity to have a roommate and those type of situations, or downsizers if somebody elderly wants to live with their sibling or friend, that you each have your own bathroom with a shared living space. So it's a little bit of a different model than some of the other choices that are available at Exit 4A and other areas in the town. So definitely something we wanted to provide that was a little bit different. The takeaways that we got from your meeting was, of course, discussions about traffic. And I can tell you that we did try to take that very seriously. And we did several things to work towards satisfying those concerns. One of them I alluded to in the subdivision application, in that we are proposing to eliminate the curb cut that's closest to the Smith Lane intersection with Rockingham Road. And you may or may not recall, but originally we didn't have this design finalized. Our driveway access was about 100 feet closer to Smith Lane. So as part of our redesign effort and going to final engineering, we pulled that driveway as far to the east, away from Smith Lane as possible, to maximize the separation of that area.
Doug, if I remember, we discussed that in the conceptual, correct?
Yes, of course. And that's the purpose of that. We want to try to take your feedback and incorporate it. And you also said that you'd be looking for a traffic study, which we did perform. And obviously, I don't know the details of the other application that was before us, but from what I was here, obviously, waiting for my turn. From what the transportation engineer alluded to, he did a basic trip generation letter. We did not do that. We did a more in-depth traffic study. We did physical counts on the road to determine what peak hour conditions were, as well as overall traffic volumes on the road. We then did our trip generation for our project, but we did a trip generation pattern for distribution. And then we took that and we did build conditions all the way out to a 10-year build condition of the design, and evaluated what the impacts would potentially be from our development on the roadway system. And we, most importantly, and I think this is kind of what you were getting at with a more in-depth study on the previous application, is we looked at lane warrant analysis. Now, lane warrant analysis, if you're not familiar, is essentially exactly what a traffic study should be looking at, which is you're adding additional trips to an intersection, to an existing road, and based on that, does there need to be any geometric improvements associated with the additional trips? Now, we evaluated both right turn lane, if that's necessary coming into the site, as well as a left turn pocket if that was necessary to come into our development. And based on the traffic generated, this project does not meet those lane warrant analysis, those lane warrants, and so therefore those improvements are not required as part of this. Not only did we look at that at the current build condition, we also looked at that in the future build condition at 10 years out. So what I can say is every project is different. The trip distribution patterns are weighted based on what our analysis came up with as a heavier, which makes sense logically, a to and from the highway. So going to the east, leaving the site and coming back from the highway. And so the benefit that we have is being on this side of the road, most of our traffic turning is coming from the right. So we're not, from the highway, we're not taking as many left turns, which is a more invasive maneuver to the main line approach. So that's a good thing. And we just kind of lucked out at being on the right side of the road for where the heavier traffic is going to be going. So we did look at that. You know, if you're on the opposite side of the road, there may be a different outcome. We obviously did do sight distance profiles, and we have great sight distance from this location, and specifically to the Smith Lane intersection. We are just under 400 feet away from that Smith Lane intersection. Now, I agree, Mr. Chair, that it's kind of a wide berth, so if you were to go right to the edge, we probably are less than that. But from the main point of the travel lane, we're a little under 400 feet away. We have much better sight distance looking down the roadway from our site because we're on the opposite side of the road and we can see that. The other benefit that we have is that someone making that merge is not looking back and having a conflict with our traffic. So I understand the concerns of traffic, but I do want to differentiate us from other applications because there are some differences here in A, in our analysis, and B, in our location physically on the road. So we did have this traffic study reviewed by DOT as well as by Stantec. They performed the review. Stantec did a fairly in-depth review and kind of went through step by step, looked at the lane warrant analysis, looked at the, I forgot to mention, we also seasonally adjusted our traffic flow upward to be at, obviously, the time that we took it may not have been as high, like say in the summer or things like that. So we elevated our trip adjustments to reflect that as part of the analysis. So certainly a more robust study, which I understand and agree is warranted in this location. And, you know, the board provided valid concerns about traffic, and so we did try to look at those items and evaluate that. And what I would say, if this provides any level of comfort, is that this development not meeting those warrants in a 10-year growth period is much likely that we're going to see an improvement at that intersection that was discussed within that 10-year window. We did reach out, and it does seem that it's beyond a pipe dream at this point with DOT. 2027. So it has gone out to conceptual bids, so they're spending money. It's in their program. And as was discussed in the last application, I think staff brought it up, is that the proposal is to put a traffic light there and eliminate that Smith Lane connection. So obviously that'll be a huge improvement. The traffic signal will actually improve our development as well because it'll bring breaks in the traffic volume to allow easier exiting maneuvers from our site. But our trips are fairly low compared to the main line. The main line has over 15,000 cars per day on it. I mean, not surprising. Anybody that knows this area, as you all do, knows that it's probably a fairly heavily traveled way. So 15,000 cars, we're under 400 cars all day long, which is about 2% of the overall generation that's actually on the main line. So when I say that we're a minor adjustment, we are by the numbers, but we did look at the warrants and the safety issues to see if anything was warranted on the main line due to our development. So that's my at least general overview. If there's more specific questions on traffic, I can speak to that. And I'm happy to go more in detail on our site layout quickly, if you'd like me to just kind of talk about that, or if you want me to bring it to the board.
Let's get to the board first.
I'm fine with that too.
Yep. Yeah, let's get to the board first. You have anything? John?
Engineering comments, again, there's two waiver requests, that being the 3-foot of cover and then the submergence of the, some of the piping on the site, actually a substantial amount of piping on the site. The project requires a conditional use permit as Kristen had indicated. The applicant's updated design includes filling within the indicated FEMA 100-year floodplain, losses flood storage, and impacts to the floodplain overlay district. In accordance with section 4.63 of the zoning ordinance that are now identified, we would recommend that the applicant coordinate with the building inspector and obtain the permit as required. The applicant has provided a DOT permit for the shared drive. However, the proposed new driveway and indicated utilities will require a DES sewer permit, Town of Londonderry sewer permit, and a stormwater permit. We would note the DOT permit does not include the indicated utility construction in the roadway, and a separate DOT permit is required, recommending that they submit for and obtain that permit. Comments to the cover sheet in the existing conditions plan, those being providing the proper monumentation and correcting the cover sheet to note 220 versus 222 Rockingham Road. Comments to the site plan grading and drainage, recommend that the applicant label the driveway as Norton Way on all sheets consistent with the assessor's response. We're recommending that the applicant verify the fire service location and the number of fire hydrants is acceptable to the fire department. Recommending, again, they correct the address on the title block. The revised sewer design indicates replacement of the existing sewer manhole at the site entrance. It will require bypass pumping. Requesting that they update the plans and details to address the necessary work acceptable to the staff. Requesting that they verify the DRC comments of the planning, assessing, Concom, fire, police, tax department, and the sewer division. Again, the two waiver requests, the conditional use permits for the use as well as the conservation overlay district. And lastly, the applicant's proposed access drive from Rockingham Road is dimensioned at 28 feet and does not comply with section 3.08B6 of the site plan of the regs, that being a 24-foot max. However, we note that the driveway does taper to 24 feet within the site, and the planning board can grant an exception up to 36 feet, so it's more of a, just an informational item for the board. That's all I have.
Kelly?
So just procedurally on that driveway matter, as you go through this, if you should get to a conditional approval point, just point out that you're making that exception. It's not articulated in your motions, but just keep that in mind.
And one other thing too, if depending on what you do with this one, make the a condition of the approval that they need to have finalized a subdivision, because this can't fly until those lots are separated.
That's fair. I am going to come to the board. Anybody like to start? Yes, sir.
I just want to say I like the layout. I liked it the first time I saw it too, and I like the look of the buildings with the hip roofs. I have concerns about flooding. There's a lot of, we're in wetlands here, and definitely the parking. I know you have enough spots legally, but it goes back to the argument that Tony had earlier about another applicant about, a Super Bowl party, Christmas, and all that. And I don't know where you can squeeze that in here, but, and I think you explained about, I am still concerned about the intersection, but I think that your explanation and being on the other side of the road and the traffic study, for me, that seems like enough. And again, for me, it's more about parking and this literally being in the middle of a wetland. I don't know what's gonna happen, and I know you guys don't want it to flood either.
Of course.
So.
Can I speak to that, Mr. Chair? So, yeah, good comments. I'll touch on the parking. So your regulations require 2 per. That's 96. We do have 104 on site, which is 8 additional. So we do have 8, call them visitor spaces. But as you're all aware, state mandated, a 1 per, which I, as a design engineer, believe is way too low. I agree, I would always add more if we were only going to do one. But I will say that historically, two is also a bit high, because you do have to recognize, particularly when you have a 48 unit development, that certainly you have some people that have two people living there with two cars, no question. But you do also have singles that live there and would only have one car. And so when you're over 48 units, if another, say 10 or 8 of those units are only one car, now you have 16 extra spaces on the site. So we do feel there's adequate parking there. When I did the one across the street for 215 Rockingham, we wanted to make sure we had a few extra spaces, and we did that. We didn't have 8. I think we had like 3 because it was a smaller development, but we did try to bump that up and get to 8. So that's my thought on parking. With regards to the flooding and the wetlands, you're absolutely correct. There's a decent amount of wetland on there. I think we worked well around them. And I will say that the wetlands do sit fairly below. We had to spend some engineering effort, and Mr. Norton's going to have to spend a little bit of money in picking the site up some, but we're doing that for a lot of reasons. One, to convey drainage, but what I can kind of tell you, which I hope will provide some comfort to your concern, the wetlands are at least 6 to 8 feet lower than the entire area of the development and the building pads. And the real reason behind that is because we recognize that we have to have a drainage design, that we have to collect, store, discharge to an existing wetland. So we can't be a foot or so above or 2, because you could never get A water to B location. So we are raised up throughout, so there's really no issue of flooding or any concern of flooding. Water would go elsewhere off property before it kind of came up to our level. We do have floodplain on the property, and just to speak to that a little bit, alteration of terrain has their own requirements on that, as does the town of Londonderry, as John mentioned. And we're only nicking a couple little spots in grading of the floodplain, and it's on the outskirts of the development. So it's not like we're filling across half the floodplain or anything like that. I can show you on the plans if you care to see exactly where, but it's like 2 small areas. And what we do is we do compensatory storage. So in those areas that we're slightly filling, we're slightly taking away in adjacent areas so that the exact same amount of flood capacity is still on site. So we're not decreasing flood capacity on the site. We actually have the exact same, if not slightly more. I think we overdid it a little bit, so we have a little bit more flood storage than we did in the existing condition. And that's a requirement that the state wants to see and that the town would want to see. So, obviously good concern, but it was certainly something that we looked at on the site.
It's good to know. Thank you.
Anything else from the board?
All right, so, I'm okay with the parking as long as these people don't have too many friends. With regards to this area, there's a lot of beaver dams up in this area. There's a lot of, water is a huge issue up in this area. While I appreciate what you're saying, I want to see if you're possibly going to be the first person, since I've known John Trotter about 25 years, I want to see if you're going to be the first person that makes him happy and has all these things done exactly the way he's going to want them, because he's going to be very tight around this, and he's going to call out a lot of the stuff around the water. And the one comment that you made that does bother me is the water will go off your site.
Well,
you don't have to explain it. I understand what you're saying, but I'm preparing you for the fact that Mr. Trotter is going to hold you to everything that you said.
That's in our town regulations.
I understand that, but he's not written in our town regulations.
He enforces our town regulations. I'm just going to say the same thing I say to Ryan when he brings it up. So,
Mr. D.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I, for one, as one voting member, like the extra width of the curb cut. I think it's gonna be important because there's some cars that are gonna be coming into this site on two wheels, because they're going so fast and they don't realize it when they make the turn. There's also some people that are gonna have to leave on two wheels because they have to, because this car's going really fast. So I think this site warrants that extra width when we come to it. I do have one question. Why would you need a utility shed?
So the thought of the utility shed is Mr. Norton plans to do a lot of self-maintenance, and so for snow removal or mowing or any of those type of things.
Out of sight, out of mind, basically. You know, you go to a lot of these developments and you see equipment just sitting in parking spots. At least this way it'd be put away and kind of, you know, hidden. Not an eyesore. That's really the main reason.
Sure. But you won't be changing oil and doing maintenance all that, any other kind of
just
stuff?
just storing equipment, tools, shovels, whatever's needed, you know, lawnmower, whatever.
And you understand that our regulations won't allow floor drains, so.
Yeah.
Just wanna double check that. So, I like the fact that you have met the requirement of the 24-foot driveway. I also like the fact that you actually have unintended shoulders on the sides of this roadway as well, so that the 24 feet that you have is actually
28.
Actually misleading, because it's actually a little bit bigger than that. It's not paved more than 24 feet, but there's much more room on this site than it appears on the drawing. And I think that's an important note, because people are gonna park illegally. They're just gonna do it. Doesn't matter how much signage you put up, doesn't matter how many notes you put on their windshield, they're just gonna do it. If they have a 4-wheel drive truck, they're gonna drive right up on top of the island. That's just what they're gonna do.
I run a tight ship. I'll tell them.
I'm rooting for you. We see a lot. I'm rooting for you.
I'm sure.
But thank you. I think it's well designed.
Thank you.
Giovanni?
No, I was gonna say, I really do like the design and the way you positioned it within the lot. It's gonna be some attractive housing, actually. And you're not gonna necessarily see the impact from the road, the way it's laid out. It's nicely done. And not to sound hypocritical to the last applicant, but this is a completely different access point where it's on the other side of the street. It's far enough away from Smith Lane. You're not turning around. You're not coming out of a gully coming into the last project. It's right there. You could see it. So I think it's completely different how you access this site versus completely different night and day.
Yeah, I would agree. You know, it's amazing what a few hundred feet can do, and just the fact that it is on the other side of the road.
Well, your car's actually angled there versus it being buried over here. You know?
Correct.
Yeah, so.
Correct. Kelly, can you pull up 4C 222 Rockingham Road site plan set? Go to page 27.
Doesn't already have it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you might have been on it.
What page? Sorry.
27. Thank you. All right. So I'd like to point to the board, we're looking at another turning radius plan for the fire department, and I would like you to look at the top right of the page, where it clearly shows and demonstrates the same exact picture from our fire department on this plan set. I see a well-circulated site that really, you know, to me, when I'm looking at it, has one very small choke point. couple questions or requests on the south side of the parking lot, so the side abutting Mark's Auto or whatever it is. Will you have any no parking signs going along that side of the?
We can.
We didn't propose any, but we can.
I would ask that you put what you feel is an adequate amount of signs.
Mhm.
1 is not adequate. 10
Mhm.
is probably too many. All right.
Sounds fair.
That's Tony. He knows how many signs.
I want to. I gotta say this because Doug, I don't think I give you much credit often.
All right, I'm ready.
I appreciate. I appreciate. You know, this is a volunteer board. We all spend a lot of time here. You spend a lot of time on these plans. Nothing frustrates me more than when I feel like I'm wasting my time. I'm not doing that here because we have information that's asked of us. So, Doug, I appreciate that. Thank you. One other request I'd have on this, and I don't know, is there a way, the only spot that's really a choke point to me is this right here, right? Is there a way we can just go like that, open that up a little bit?
The reason we didn't.
The wetland?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we are kind of tucked in right there. We did open it up more than the original concept had, and we actually widened. You see how there's like a little green piece in between the islands?
Mhm.
We didn't feel like the fire truck could circulate clean enough without it widening out a little bit, so we bumped it out in that location as well, just to make that turning radius work. So we did try to make it more open than originally.
Okay. And I pointed this out earlier in the conversation. You know, conceptual planning is a very big part of this. And based off of our conceptual planning, you actually did move the driveway as far south as you could. Would you say yes? No?
Oh, yes,
maybe?
yes.
Yeah.
So,
All right,
absolutely,
perfect.
yeah. That was like step one. Is I pulled it. You can see that we have a 30-foot radii coming in, and that's a DOT standard. They want to see a certain size vehicle be able to make the turn without crossing over the yellows and whatnot. And they also want to make sure that 30-foot radius terminates at a perpendicular angle of an extension, imaginary extension of the property line, essentially to allow for a abutting property to close their radii as well. So even though it looks like there's some green space there, it's because of that requirement of terminating the radius at the property line. So we kind of have to be 30 feet from the property to be able to make that happen.
Okay. Last question I have on traffic. Was there any discussion of any sort of, I don't know what they call them. They use something else besides a turning lane, but a turning lane. So for turning left into the development, so you're north, heading south, turning left into the development. Was there any discussion of a turning lane?
Yes, there was. And that was when I said the turning warrant analysis, that was one of
Exactly
them.
what you're talking about.
That was one of them. So it's both maneuvers. So if you think about it, the road, you have two maneuvers that would potentially have improvements: a right pocket into the site or a left pocket into the site. And we evaluated both of those.
Okay. And it's not warranted.
It is not warranted, not even at a 10-year build.
Okay, thank you. Is it a safe assumption, and you probably know the answer, the majority of the traffic is turning left out of here to head towards Highway?
That's correct.
Okay.
And I think that worked in our favor.
It's the majority of the traffic coming back
Is taking a
turning
right.
and not crossing over the road to get in.
When you look at those warrant analysis, it's very much related to the mainline volume and the opposing volume that you're bringing into your site. So the left turn maneuver is easier to hit from a warrant analysis standpoint. So if we were on the other side of the road and we had 68% of our traffic coming from the highway, it's possible we could have hit that warrant, at least at the 10-year build.
Okay.
Because that would have been a higher amount of traffic taking a left. We just lucked out and we're taking a right.
We're on the other side.
Thank you. Anything else from the board?
No, so thank you for doing that extra work on the traffic as well, rather than just a trip generator, which really doesn't give us any information to work off of. That extra work that you did allowed us the information and the questions that we have running around our heads when we get these plans, sometimes a week ahead of time. It really helps to satisfy a lot of the questions and also helps us respond to the general public as well when they ask us. So thank you for that.
I'll just say this. If I came in with just a trip gen letter after my conceptual hearing, because every one of you
You would've known how it
mentioned
went.
something about traffic. So whereas some projects I would say do only warrant a trip generation letter, this was not one of them. So we went with the extra.
Thank you. I appreciate
The
it.
hand-
You listened.
Anything
The
else
handouts
from-
are a nice touch.
Mr. Rugg.
Yeah. Use the
I'll
process.
get you next, Giovanni.
I think this is a well done, well thought out plan, and there's a lot at least thinking has gone into it. One question, what do you propose doing with the stone walls that are on the property?
There's
some stone walls. I wouldn't really call them stone walls, like what we would think is traditional stone walls. It's just more of like
Little rock piles?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, wherever we can try to use them on site. Obviously, I know that's preferred.
Yeah, I was
in
gonna
the
say,
town.
using for part of your landscaping,
Exactly.
decorative use.
Yeah, we'll find some use for them, I'm sure. Yeah. So.
Giovanni.
Yeah, just one question, that you're eliminating that other driveway, like closing it off altogether?
Correct.
So that's good, because then it further brings.
It'll eliminate it, and we're going to loam and seed that area. We actually, I probably should have mentioned this, but because subdivision was technically happening first, and Mr. Chartier wanted to make sure that that could stand on its own, makes sense. Like if we never did this, which I can't imagine he would do, but if we only did the subdivision, we had to make sure that the driveway, so we have all the detailing of moving the driveway as part of the subdivision plan. So so this plan is kind of reflecting like, oh, it already happened because it would have had to have happened as part of the subdivision plan.
Right, and the issue that Mr. Trotter was addressing was when we subdivide, we can't subdivide to a non-conforming lot or
Correct.
make a non-conforming lot
Yep.
as a result of the subdivision. So that's where that comes from.
Yep.
So you gotta do A before B, and that's just how it is, so.
Anything else from the board?
I have a question.
Yes.
That driveway on the other side of the line there, on the neighbor's property, is that an active driveway?
I think,
This gentleman that lives here,
It's not a shed?
no, that's a house.
yeah, there's a small house
Way in the back. It's
way
like
in
a
the
flag
back, yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's good enough sightlines between you two. Because I wasn't sure if the illustration is trees there or just bushes or something.
Yeah, there is some vegetation there, but that stops kind of at the property line, and then the actual road intersection is further out, so you'll be able to see when you get out that way. I mean, we can see 400, we could probably see 600 feet looking left out of our driveway.
Okay. And I must say, those roof lines are amazing, looking, and the illustrations here, the complexity of them.
Yeah, and they're real. He has the architectural plans done. That's kind of what took us a little bit to come back to you guys, because he wanted to get those done with his architect. And so what we depict is what they're going to look like.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for all the details.
I am going to open it up to the public. Seeing no public comment, I will close it.
Mr. Chair?
Yes?
We had an email from a neighbor.
Oh,
so
thank you.
probably
Can you
that into the
could
record
you read
also.
that in, please?
So this is from John Hanna. He is a resident at 10 Stokes Road. His email reads.
Speak up, please.
His email reads, I am currently out of town and respectfully request that my concerns for the proposed 48-unit project that abuts my property at 10 Stokes Road be read into the meeting. The proposed project is connected to the back right side of my property. My issues and concerns are the following. 1, security and privacy. At a minimum, I would like them to install a privacy fence along the property line. 2, 48 units seems excessive for such a dense area regarding like light, noise, and the effect on the wetlands. He had a question about, is this project using public water connections or digging wells? Fourth note is, will they include a new intersection with lights on Rockingham? Fifth is, how will this added volume of traffic affect an already busy, unsafe intersection from Mammoth onto Rockingham? And the last question or comment is, where would the dumpsters be located for this development? I do not want dumpsters lining the back of my property either.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, board, do we have anything else before we are moving on here? Seeing none, we get a couple conditional use permit to work through.
Waiver.
And a waiver, I'm sorry, thank you, Kelly. We have two waivers, right? Yeah, we have two waivers. Do we want to act on these separately or together?
Do them together.
Do them together. I'm looking for a motion to grant waiver number 1 and number 2, outlined in the staff recommendation memorandum.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
I have a motion from Mr. Rugg. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Jeff. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Giovanni Barani, aye.
John Cruz, aye. Tony D, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Jeff Penta, aye.
John Farrell, aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. These waivers have been granted. We have a conditional use permit for some wetland impact. I'm looking for a motion to approve a conditional use permit per LZO 4.6.1 to allow 2,808 square feet of wetland impact and 2,357 square feet of wetland buffer impacts to excess upland area consistent with Conservation Commission's June 10th, 2025 recommendation and is shown on the plan set.
So moved.
I have a motion from Mr. Cruz. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Jeff. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Giovanni Barani, aye.
John Cruz, aye.
Tony D, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Jeff Penta, aye.
John Farrell, aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. The conditional use permit has been granted. We have one more, and I'm looking, this is for multifamily use in the C1 district. I'm looking for a motion to approve a conditional use permit per LZO section 4.6.6.5 to allow a multifamily residential use on a parcel in the C1 district within the Route 28 Performance Overlay District.
So moved.
I have a motion from Mr. Cruz. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Jeff. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Giovanni Barani, aye.
John Cruz, aye.
Tony D, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Jeff Penta, aye.
John Farrell, aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. The CUP has been granted. And last but not least, I am looking for a motion to grant conditional approval of a site plan for a 48-unit multifamily residential development, including associated site improvements in the C1 district at 222 Rockingham Road, tax map 15, lot 150-1. Dark Horse Investments LLC is both the owner and the applicant.
I'll move that, Mr. Chair.
Can we,
We needed a clarification on
can
something.
you add,
Yes.
the subdivision will need to be finalized prior to this plan being signed?
So I would add an amendment to the emotion as
We have
Kelly
to do
had
something with the
requested.
road,
And then you're,
Road.
you're granting the,
curb cut.
thank you, the exception for the driveway width?
Yes,
And then, Mr. Chair, you had asked for no parking signs to be added to the south side of
Yes.
the parking lot.
yes, that would be fantastic. So
We can add that to the motion.
if we could add that to the motion, that would be fantastic. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Jeff. All in favor, starting with Ann, please.
Ann Champa, aye.
Giovanni Barani, aye.
John Cruz, aye.
Tony D, aye.
Arthur Rugg, aye.
Jeff Penta, aye.
John Farrell, aye.
Sean Faber, aye.
And the chair votes in the affirmative. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's a
Thank
very
you.
good-looking development.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Take care. All right. Kelly, I believe that about wraps us up. Do we have anything else we would like to discuss tonight?
So, Mr. Chair, I'd like to try one more time to ask the board if there's any interest in asking the town council to have a chat with the state about Smith Lane.
He just said that, I could be wrong, but it's on the books for 2027, so why would we take on that expense? I
We
guess?
may not want it.
Right.
If they put it out to bid, we don't want it.
I was under
Well,
the
and-
impression that it's getting rectified sooner rather than later.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'd
Jeff?
also like to say that we had two sessions of public hearings this evening, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Jeff, you had something?
Yeah, just really quick. Do we still have to go through all of us?
I like it. I think it's good for the record, so it's very clear as to how people voted.
Sounds good.
It
Thank
also
you.
helps the scribe who does the minutes for us, because I think there's, past meetings, there's been some confusion of who makes the motion, and usually, sometimes there's nothing there, other than the motion was made and it passed.
I hope everybody noticed my new custom nameplate tonight.
Surprised it doesn't say.
You only get one like that after you've been an alternate, but then you're not an alternate anymore, and so you just have the black tape over where it used to say alternate.
Did you put the black tape
So I
on?
thought it was pretty clever whoever did that.
Oh.
You didn't do that? I love it.
Custom by Tom.
I still would like to get my gold one back, though. If you all probably remember that one, that was really
We
special.
had to melt it down for
That
these.
disappeared. I'm sure somebody took it as a souvenir.
It's
I melted those all down.
$5,000 an ounce. Come on now.
You gotta wait till
Any-
July 1st.
Anything else from the board? Looking for a motion.
So
To
moved.
adjourn.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Have a good night, folks.